Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. The Los Angeles Lakers just signed Jaxson Hayes to a 2-year, $4.6 million contract. In today's video, I'm going to be analyzing Jaxson Hayes and his fit with his new team. In the 2019 NBA draft, Jaxson Hayes was the 8th pick in the draft to the Atlanta Hawks, and right away on draft night, the Atlanta Hawks moved his draft rights to the New Orleans Pelicans, where he spent the last 4 years of his career there. In 4 years on the Pelicans, he's averaged 16.8 minutes per night, so not a player who has significantly cracked that lineup in New Orleans. He's averaged 62% from the field, which still, even for a center, is really good. Very efficient player offensively, doesn't really take a lot of shots unless it's a dunk, as you can see in this video. He averages 4 rebounds per game and 7.5 points per game in the last 4 years. He's a 6'11", 220-pound center who is primarily a rim runner who is used for his defense as well. Now, looking at his career thus far and why he got a pretty small contract, now he's still a very young guy, so there is still some upside with Jaxson Hayes. He's somewhat struggled with injuries in his time in the NBA yet. He's never really missed a significant amount of time, but he's always had these little nagging injuries that have kept him out for a couple weeks here and there. Now, his most significant injury was a torn UCL in 2022 in his elbow. Other than that, really the reason why Jaxson Hayes didn't get a significant contract in free agency and got a pretty small prove-it deal for himself is really because of the lack of value he brings to the table because of the archetype of player he is. Jaxson Hayes is like a smarter, slightly less athletic, and slightly less talented version of a prime JaVale McGee, which is a really solid player, a guy who's a very valuable part of a rotation, but he's a guy who's never going to be getting a significant amount of minutes. At the end of the day, he's a backup center type role. But let me tell you guys, all season last year, it was driving me absolutely nuts that the Lakers legitimately did not have a true center on the roster all year. Of course, Anthony Davis plays center, but relying on Anthony Davis to play center every single game of the regular season and the postseason to bang down low for 37, 38 minutes a night is absolutely unrealistic. In 2020, when the Lakers won the championship, of course, Anthony Davis played center in the playoffs, but in the regular season, they had centers such as JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard to mix into the rotation to keep Anthony Davis fresh coming into the playoffs. So that is one huge positive for this deal. What else? Even when Anthony Davis was healthy, when he needed a break and when he needed a rest, the Lakers would get absolutely torched in the paint because of their lack of center play. Last year, you had guys like Wendell Gabriel running the center position when Anthony Davis would check out of the game. And Wendell Gabriel, I love him. He's a very high-effort player, but at the end of the day, he's not a center. He's just so small. So to bring in a big statured center, a 6'11" guy, 220 pounds, to come in there and eat some center minutes and really hold down the paint when Anthony Davis is out is a really nice positive. Now, looking at some of his skill sets, his positives and negatives, he, of course, has a very nice physical profile, not only in terms of his vertical and in his burst, but he also runs the floor really well as a center. He has some nice speed and agility to him. Now, of course, as you guys can see, he's a very good rim runner, and he has nice tenacity at the rim, not only offensively, but defensively as well. He has a good ability to block shots at the rim. Now, this tenacity and super aggressiveness sometimes gets him trouble defensively. Sometimes he's out of place defensively. But something I really like about Jaxson Hayes' defense is the verticality in which he contests shots with, meaning he really does not foul all that much. In fact, his analytics in terms of fouls per minutes played is actually really nice, especially for the center position. He is a guy with limited upside, though, considering on defense, he really can only guard the 5. He's not a good perimeter defender. He's just too big and doesn't have good enough agility. Even though his agility is pretty solid, he can survive being switched on a player for about a possession or two, but nothing more than that. And then, of course, again, offensively, all he does is really dunk. He doesn't have great touch around the rim to work a post game all that much, and he really has not displayed a three-point shot in the NBA yet, but nonetheless, having a good backup center is so vital to a good team, a championship team, especially when your starting center, Anthony Davis, is somewhat playing out of position and he's consistently injured. So Jaxson Hayes is a great depth piece for the Los Angeles Lakers, something they missed this year and something they had when they won the championship in 2020. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Jaxson Hayes, and do you like the signing by the Los Angeles Lakers?